Okay, so we're going to go with my intro, right? Okay, so I'm doing the intro. All right. You look very handsome today, by the way.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So what's up, everybody? Thank you for joining episode 2 of The Enthusiast. I'm one of your hosts, Will Zabo. Alongside me, the man who does everything, Jesse Nazario. How's it going, man?
I don't know if I can live up to that now. That was super awkward now. Yes, this is episode 2, which means one more episode than most Rob Schneider shows. Yes, that's right. We made it to episode 2.
So we have quite a few topics. We're going to start off with movies. We're going to go over some of the new trailers that just launched. The first is going to be War of the Planet of the Apes.
Yes, which I'm super excited for. First, let's get over this. Every time I was writing a topic or what we were going to talk about, a new trailer came out this week. This week was heavy on trailers, man.
It was, not just for movies, but for games as well. And
everything.
Yeah.
What was up with this week? Did they just want to jam everything right before Christmas?
I guess so. It also makes it hard for us because we only want to make this an hour, and it's like, oh, here's a bunch of shit you got to put in here. Have fun trying to fit it.
Everything looks good.
Yeah.
Somehow, Michael Bay, you made the last Transformer trailer look really good.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. I'm really excited to see it, and I hate those films.
But War of the Planet of the Apes, loved it. Loved that trailer.
Were you a fan of the other two movies?
Oh, I loved them.
Are you a fan of the franchise in general?
I am. I think the older movies have some hits and misses. But I definitely think what they're doing with this whole reboot of the series is really great. And it's probably one of the few series I would say that started off strong and just keeps getting better. Like Dawn is way better than Rise. And it just keeps going that way. And I think War is looking great too. I think it's going to be even better than Dawn.
I agree. I agree with you. I even agree with the old films. I watched those as children. I watched all 5 in one day.
Wow.
Not a healthy thing to do as a child because I'm mind blown. I was like, this is what the future's going to look like? Crazy. Really enjoy these new franchises. And in my head, I kind of came up with an own theory on how they fit in the timeline.
Okay.
I feel like the original films were the alternate timeline because of the time traveling thrown in there. And these new films are the original timeline and how we got there in the first place.
Okay.
So it's all in the same universe in my mind, just 2 different timelines of how we got there.
Now, see, I don't know if this is going to be just considered a reboot, and I'm curious as to how this ends. If it ends with the way the first movie begins, and they're just actually going to make the timelines lead together, or is it going to just continue, and they're just going to say, hey, this is the definite Planet of the Apes story? Because in the first movie, you hear about Caesar and stuff like that, and that's why they decided to go with this, but you never really... Obviously, you don't see Caesar because this is so many years down the road.
Correct. By the point in the original movies, he's looked at as a god, as the creator. Yes. So, I mean, it had been, thousands of years since it all went down?
Yeah, I would assume so. Now, I don't know if they're just going to do Caesar's storyline and then end it there. I would be okay with that. But I'm really liking what they do. I hope it doesn't end with just after war. Like, I would like to see a little more after War of the Planet of the Apes.
How do you feel about a new actor for every film in this franchise? We had a new starring actor for every film.
Yeah.
James Franco for the first one, Gary Oldman for the second one, and now we got Woody Harrelson for this one.
I feel like he's a weird one.
Do you think so?
Yeah, I haven't seen him in too much. A lot of the stuff I've seen him in is comedies. So when I see him being the big bad for the humans, it's kind of like, really?
I can see it going well. I think he's a really underrated actor. I loved him in True Detective. So
a series I have not seen, but heard great things.
Absolutely excited for this movie. But the trailer looked great. The horses, the combats.
And you know what I loved? I really loved everything Caesar was saying throughout the trailer. Yeah. He was like, I didn't choose to start this war. I showed you mercy. I even let you go. But I'm going to end it now.
Theories on who the human child is.
Man, I forgot that. That slipped my mind, and I remember it's on the back of the one ape.
Correct.
But I don't know whose it could be.
Thinking a way to tie it in, because trilogies, the third one always has to go back to the first, so it always is James Franco's child.
You think so?
Could be. Or I could just be fishing for nothing.
I think it might just be a random kid that they find and decide to raise as their own.
Could be.
I wouldn't mind that either. Another movie that we saw a new trailer for was Star Wars.
Rogue One.
Looks amazing.
Yes.
I'm excited for it. I'm more excited for it than I will say probably episode 7. And my reason why is because episode 7 looked a lot like A New Hope. But this is looking like it's going to be something fresh and new. Plus, it has Mads in it. I don't know if people know who Mads is. He's one of my favorite actors. He's Hannibal in the TV series. He was, what's his name, in the James Bond movie Casino Royale. Great actor. Yes.
Yes.
And he's also in The Hunt. I think he's such a great actor, and he's actually featuring now in a game we're going to talk about later, Death Stranding. But I think he's just such a phenomenal guy, and when I saw that he was in the movie, I was like, oh man, I'm going to see this now regardless. But I was going to see it for Star Wars anyway.
I'm excited about it. I'm excited to see Darth Vader in it, and they say we're seeing Vader in his prime, so we might see some stuff that he's never been able to do before, which I'm really excited about. How do you think it's going to do box office wise? Do you think people are going to be confused, thinking this is a sequel to Force Unleashed?
Here's what I think is going to happen. I think box office wise it's going to do really well because people are going to think it's a sequel to Force Unleashed. I think the return.
Force Unleashed, Force Awakens.
Force Awakens. I'm sorry. Yeah, man, you even got me with that.
There it is.
But I think the return is going to be lower than Force Awakens. I think a lot of people went and saw Force Awakens 2-3 times. I think I saw it 4 or 5 times when I went. I can see myself seeing Rogue One more than once, but I don't think the general audience is going to want to see it more than once. So I think the return is going to be lower than Force Awakens. I still think it's going to do amazing.
I'm excited about it. I will leave my judgments out there, though, because I went through an up and down scale with Force Awakens. Loved it.
Okay.
And I was like, hey, you know what? Wasn't that great, actually. And then I started thinking about it the other day, and I was like, you know what? Maybe it was that good. Maybe I did enjoy it. So I'll see it when it comes out. Hopefully I'll really enjoy it. But Rogue One, yes.
Looking great.
It is. It is.
We also had Transformers that we already kind of briefly touched, but let's get into a deeper talk of this. What do you think? You go first.
Okay, I must say the shot where I'm guessing it's got to be Unicron, because if not,
the planet.
It's disappointed me when you see him like encompassing the moon. I thought it was an amazing shot.
So I love that shot. However, I did not like the shot where they showed him really close to the Earth, because I'm curious if they're pulling a Galactus, the Cloud Galactus on this. It doesn't look like he transforms.
I can see that, and it also might be that cheesy Transformer from the last film where they kind of broke apart and then came back together.
Yeah.
Which looked like Windows 98 screensaver. I don't know what they were doing.
I'm really hoping it's not that. I really want Unicron to be like a very force to be reckoned with, and I want you to feel that. I mean, sure, he can eat a moon, and he is the devourer of planets, but still, I don't think the trailer did it much justice. First trailer. I don't think you want to play all your cards right off the bat.
Correct.
But we'll see. What do you think of Optimus?
Kind of confused what they're going with that direction. You know what I mean? I don't know if maybe he's going to be the new Galvatron. You know, like you see him almost very similar of the 1986 film with Megatron floating in space. He was kind of floating dead, and you see him return to Earth, all redone. So. And I heard that Hot Rod's in this, so I don't know if this
Hot Rod's one of my favorites.
Passing the torch story. So, still not a Mark Wahlberg fan for these movies.
You know, I always feel like the weak point of any Transformers movies are the humans. I always wish they would just do a Cybertron movie.
Yeah.
I think that would be a lot better. But for Optimus, I'm not a huge Transformers fan to the point where I can say I know the lore very well. I enjoy the movies for what they are. A bunch of explosions, and I get to see giant robots fight. But I'm really confused. I don't really know what they're going for.
Season 2 of the original show, so anybody that's old remembers the original movie. They killed Optimus Prime off in the original cartoon, and they made Hot Rod Rodimus Prime. Such a silly name.
Okay.
All right, Jed Nelson, though, he made it work. They eventually brought Optimus back, you know, because kids were asking, but they brought him back as a villain. His spark had been corrupted.
Okay.
So that might be the direction you're going through, and then eventually he came back as the good guy leader, you know what I mean, because they wanted Optimus Prime back. What I need in this movie, all right, not once, what I need, if you're going to have the Dinobots, give them their names. That...
I agree.
I didn't like the entire last movie, and then the fact is I waited 3 hours and I didn't even get their names. Call him Grimlock.
I
You
also
know what I mean?
didn't like that. If I remember correctly, in the movie, they didn't transform. I don't remember seeing them transform.
I think they transformed, but it was a real brief thing. It wasn't, you know what I mean? And I understand Grimlock wasn't the smartest guy in the original cartoon.
Grimlock's one of my favorites, just because I love T-Rexes. And I just remember when I first saw Grimlock, I was like, wow, he's so cool. And then I remember I saw the cartoon, and I was like, God, he's so dumb.
I'm excited about this film. There's literally, out of that franchise, the 4 films, I've liked 2 of them, which was 1 and 3.
I agree with that.
Yeah, and the only reason I think I like 3 was because how disappointed I was with 2.
Two was just a love story.
Correct.
It was legitimately just to make Shia LaBeouf say he loved Megan Fox.
Correct.
I agree with that. 1 and 3 are probably my favorites as well. I was really excited for 4 because I loved the Dinobots, but I don't think it did them justice.
Be honest, the only thing I liked about 4 was John Goodman. I thought he was great. Loved him for Hound. Thought that was story arc was cool. I was really just, you know what? I'm just disappointed with Michael Bay's dialogue. It's awful.
I agree. Maybe he'll be able to flip it around for this one. We'll see.
And can become a good writer? I doubt it.
No, let's not.
Michael
That's
Bay,
too much open.
Stop writing dialogue because it is awful.
We also had Assassin's Creed.
Oh, I am super excited and really fearful for this movie.
So I think this is one of the movies that a lot of people are saying this is going to make or break the video game movies. If it does well, we think people are going to see what formula they used and kind of mimic it for future video game movies. And then at the same time, people are saying if it does bad, we probably won't see any more for quite some time.
I was really excited for it when I seen Michael Fassbender signed up for it, because he's not an actor that just picks any role.
I agree. He's
so
very picky.
That's what got me really excited for it, to see his name attached to it. What makes me worried is the director came out a couple months ago and said, was it 60% of the movie is modern day, only 40% is in the past?
Yes, and that's troublesome as well.
You know what I mean? And that's another key point of a director coming and trying to put their own spin on the video game and not following what made the video game so special in the first place.
I was just about to say that, because the whole appeal to the Assassin's Creed games is playing the assassin in the past.
Correct.
It was never playing as Desmond in the present, or anytime you were out of the Animus. Anytime you were out of the Animus, I always just wanted to go back in.
Yeah, and everybody agrees in that game. There was kind of just a filler in between. Like, that, for a director to focus on those segments, it doesn't make any sense to me. Like, I'm playing Assassin's Creed Liberation right now for the Vita.
Yes.
And they skip all the modern day stuff. That game is straight only in the past.
Okay.
And I'm really enjoying it. You know what I mean? It just cuts out all that extra BS. You know, give me the story of the assassin. That's all I really want.
And I think the series itself has had some problems. I think,
Unity.
I think among most people, after the Ezio trilogy, it's kind of been going downhill. Some people really like Black Flag. That's hit or miss one, and a lot of people. And I really like Syndicate. I think Syndicate is kind of the one that a lot of people missed out on because Unity was so bad.
Correct. I'm one of those people. I refuse to pick up.
Yeah, Syndicate was great. But I'm a little worried about this movie because I want it to do well, because I want video game movies to be something that are taken seriously. You know, we have the Uncharted movie that's in limbo right now. I would love to see that come out. And
talk about another reboot of Doom again.
Yeah, and then we have The Last of Us, which is also something that's in the works. So, you know, I don't want this to be something that hinders those titles, but...
Best video game movie in your opinion?
I'm a little biased, but I really like the Warcraft movie. Not because of the human actors, but I really felt they did a great job with the orcs. I think the casting for the orcs was great. And I think they did a pretty good job with the storyline of summing it up to the best of their ability. Did they leave a lot out? Oh, of course. Warcraft is huge. You're not going to fit it all in a movie. But other than that, I would say the new Final Fantasy movie that just recently came out.
You count that, though? I mean, animated and straight to DVD, so...
But it is a movie, so that's what I don't understand what we're going to consider. If we're just going to consider that went to theater, then Warcraft. I know that a lot of people didn't like it, but it's definitely...
Including me.
Yeah,
yes.
you weren't a fan.
Not at all.
Definitely up there for me, though.
Still have no idea what happened in that movie.
All right.
I watched it twice. Still confused. If I'm going with my favorite video game movie, I have 2, but one's a guilty pleasure, and the other one is, in my opinion, the best video game movie. That's Prince of Persia with Jake Gyllenhaal.
I did not see that, actually.
Not a great movie, but when it comes to its competition, Mario Brothers and Dead or Alive, that's probably the best. My guilty pleasure, I love the Resident Evil movies.
Really?
I know, it's terrible. I hate to admit it to people, but they're just fun movies.
Slightly judging you a little.
Yeah. It's just like, you can tell it's just some old guy, like, picking parts of the game that look cool to him and just throwing it out there and then keeps throwing his wife in the movies.
I don't even know how those movies... I know it's because of China, but I really I don't get what they like.
And it's like every time they lose me for a little bit, they do something to pull me back in. I could not stand 3. I thought it was the silliest movie I've ever seen. The desert crate of zombies, the infinity zombies that kept running out of it. But then 4 brought me right back in with the Wesker, Chris, and Claire fight. And I was like, you know what? That was an awesome fight.
I haven't seen a Resident Evil movie since 3 because that's when I threw my hands up and was like, you know what?
Done with this.
I was hoping you guys could bring me back somehow, but they just haven't been able to. So I'm done with it. I'm not going to see this new one unless it somehow kills reviews and kills the box office. I'm not seeing it. And it doesn't look like it's going to.
No, it looks awful like all the rest of them.
Last movie trailer. Spider-Man Homecoming. Ooh. And that was probably the biggest one and probably the most divisive one. Because I would say, as much as I've talked to some people about it, some people love it, some people hate it. I sit on the middle of the fence. I thought it was good, but I think compared to some of the other trailers to come out, it wasn't amazing. Once again, first trailer. But a lot of these were first trailers, and I think a lot of these first trailers were better than Spider-Man Homecoming.
Didn't give a... Oh, you know what? We didn't mention Guardians. We'll get to that.
We'll do Guardians after this. Because actually Guardians is one of the ones that I compared Spider-Man Homecoming to.
Did not like the trailer at first, only because they had Iron Man in it, and I'm just tired of Robert Downey Jr. in every single Marvel movie.
Yeah, we talked about this before, but I really think he's probably getting to the point where they're probably going to replace him. Because right now he is pretty much the face of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But I really think after the Infinity War, he might be done. We'll see. But I'm hoping for it. I mean, he never disappears in the comics either. He's still relevant.
Yeah.
But...
I mean, and then I watched the trailer again. I watched it a few times, actually, and I kind of appreciate it afterwards. Because we did mention we want kind of those buddy movies.
Yes.
And you know what? I feel like looking at this trailer, it doesn't look like it's going to be another origin story for Spider-Man. It just looks like it's taking place after Civil War. We have an established Spider-Man. I think there might even be some Civil War story arcs in it. Maybe that's why in the trailer you see him in his original costume again. He might have a falling out with Tony Stark. You know, I watched that trailer so many times and just tore it apart and everything. And that's why I started appreciating it.
Now, it definitely... I definitely will say that I do love that it does feel like a buddy movie instead of an origin story. And it definitely isn't going to be an origin story. I didn't see any signs of Uncle Ben.
No.
Saw nothing that's going to be like how he got his powers. Spider-Man's established. He's been here for a while. Whether or not he was wearing the suit the whole time, but he's there.
Right.
I don't know how I feel about the chemistry with Spider-Man and Iron Man in the movie. And I get it that Tony Stark is treating Spider-Man like a child. I don't get why he's doing that when he went to Peter Parker in Civil War to get him to fight other superhumans. So that's kind of lost on me, because it's like, why are you trying to protect him now against a villain when you got him to fight your friends that you know what they can do?
Correct. I feel like this movie might be some saving grace, because everybody knows I'm not a fan of Civil War.
That's true.
Sorry. But I feel like this movie might be a saving grace to Civil War. I feel like this might get a little more into why Tony Stark felt desperate enough to call on, what is he supposed to be, 16 in this franchise?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Call on a 16-year-old in the first place. And I do kind of enjoy the whole idea of, you know what I mean? If anybody read the Civil War comics, he did start it off on Iron Man's side.
He did, and then he flips.
And I'm hoping this movie gets into that. I'm also really excited to see Michael Keaton as Vulture.
That was actually an interesting... So, when they first said that Michael Keaton was going to be in the movie, I think it was rumored a while ago that Vulture was going to be in it. And I was like, you know what, I bet it was because of Birdman. They probably saw Birdman and was like, you know what, let's have Michael Keaton be Vulture. But he's so different. Like, I was really expecting an old Vulture. But he looks like he's not in his prime, but not the old man that we know Vulture to be. Um, but he definitely seems to be darker than the Vulture I know.
Yeah, definitely. Just threatening him in the trailer.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, I got a man crush on Michael Keaton. I think he's a phenomenal actor. So I'm really excited to see what he does. And I also like Vulture as a villain. So I'm actually excited to see him on. Plus, it's finally a villain we haven't seen in a Spider-Man movie.
I agree, and I think Vulture's one of the bigger Spider-Man villains too. So I'm surprised he hasn't gotten a movie yet. So.
And then rumors are Shocker's going to be in this too.
He's probably going to be the first small villain that you run into.
So I'm excited to see it. Any other villains you would like to see in a Spider-Man movie they haven't done yet?
Mysterio.
Ooh.
Mysterio.
Who would you get to play Mysterio?
I have no idea. But let's be honest, I don't really know if you can get someone. Well, if you get someone, we're probably never really going to see their face. It's probably all going to be CGI anyway. But I definitely want to see Mysterio. I do not want to see Lizard again.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to see Carnage, but I don't know if you can do Carnage.
Difficult character to pull off.
Yeah, I don't know if we can do Carnage in a PG-13 movie. I don't think Disney wants to go rated R.
No,
and he's a dark character.
He's a serial killer, yeah.
Yeah, so either you would have to obviously hold him back a little, which isn't fun. I know a lot of people want to see Venom. Everyone always wants to see Venom again.
Done right this time?
I wouldn't mind if it's done right. I was really upset with Spider-Man 3 when Sandman hits Venom and he squeals. I was like, oh, that's not how this is supposed to work out.
That upsets you, not my spider sense is tingling, if you know what I mean.
There were a lot of upsetting parts of Spider-Man 3. But
why did he have a mouth?
I've always, of the symbiotes, Carnage was always my favorite, and I feel like Carnage doesn't really get as much love as Venom, and I get it. I wouldn't mind also them just seeing Venom as more of a hero.
Okay.
We'll
skip Eddie Brock and go straight to Flash Thompson, Agent Venom.
I wouldn't mind that.
That'd be cool. Ooh, what about the T-Rex Venom from Old Man Logan, huh? That'd be awesome.
That would be interesting. Now, I wonder if we talked about this, how they were going to do like an Old Man Logan type story, but with Captain America. If they bring in Mysterio, they could easily add that part.
Yep. I've always wanted to see Kraven the Hunter in a Spider-Man movie.
See, now, Kraven the Hunter, I always feel would be a great opening movie villain. I think he's a really good villain, don't get me wrong, but I think when you look at him on the screen, he doesn't have any wow factor to him.
I can see what you mean.
It's going to be a lot of more practical effects. And don't get me wrong, I think a lot of people appreciate it, but I don't think a lot of people want to see a whole movie
just him. I can say that. Gerard Butler, by the way, to play him.
Okay.
That's the only person I could ever see playing him. I really enjoy him as a villain. I think he's awesome. You know what I mean? If you go back to the What If comics, he was one of the only villains to actually kill Spider-Man in a What If storyline. Okay.
I really want Green Goblin again, but I would like not the suit type. You know what? Actually, I'm sorry. I really want Hobgoblin.
Okay.
I really like Hobgoblin, and I wouldn't mind seeing the combination of the two, like a movie with both in it.
Gotcha.
Because they did do that in the old animated series from the 90s.
Yes, yeah.
And I really like that. And
they went and flipped the story in the original 90s series. They had Hobgoblin first, then Green Goblin.
Yes.
Which was kind of cool, because Green Goblin was always kind of been Spider-Man's arch enemy, so don't, use him right away. Make it, that he's the big baddie for
I
the
agree.
entire series.
And, I mean, they could even do the Ultimate Spider-Man route, where it's not a suit. He is like
actual goblin.
Yeah.
No glider. He just takes off in a ball of fire, yeah.
They could do that, too. I wouldn't mind that. I do think this one has to hit Sinister Six. They are, they were getting there with the Amazing Spider-Man series. They teased at the end of 2. Never got there. I do think they need to hit that with this series. I don't know how many movies Tom Holland is signed for, but let's be honest, they're
6.
Yeah, and I mean, let's be honest, they're probably going to sign him again after this. But I'm excited. We'll see. We have Donald Glover's in the movie too.
Correct. Yes.
Did they say who he is yet?
No, they haven't announced it. I have a theory. Of course, he's too old to be Miles Morales.
Now, see, I think he is going to be Miles Morales.
I think he's going to be his uncle.
Oh, the thief.
Thief, yes.
The one that gives him the powers.
Correct.
Now, see, the only reason why I think they might make him actually Miles Morales is, and they could, one, this is a whole new expanded universe. Let's be honest, they don't always go by the comics.
Right.
But Secret Wars, just recently happened in the comics. And I really think instead of them, if they can't get the rights to Galactus for after Thanos, I think that might be what they're going to lead towards next.
Secret Wars?
I think Secret Wars is going to be their next big thing. And he is already the voice actor for Miles Morales in the Ultimate Spider-Man
Correct.
TV series.
And Lando Calrissian.
And he's Lando, which Disney seems to like having their people in multiple of their series.
Correct.
So we have one more movie trailer that we
completely forgot about.
Which, in my opinion, is probably one of the best ones.
Yes.
Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
Amazing. Everything about that trailer. Don't need to say anymore. We're done. No, it's fantastic.
So, I have to say this. At the end of the first one, I was really kind of starting to get a little annoyed with Baby Groot. Because I get it. He's cute. But I was seeing him everywhere, and I was kind of like... Oh,
kind of like the Minions.
Yeah, I was
they took it over the internet, yeah.
He got 5 seconds in the movie. Well, probably total 10 minutes if you count the dancing scene at the end. But still, I was like, really? That's what we're going to remember from Groot? Just this? But man, it was so cute and funny in the second trailer. I love the whole scene with the bomb.
Yeah. Rocket yelling at him like he's his father. I just enjoyed the trailer altogether. I was reading up a lot about the trailer because I wanted to make sure nothing was spoiled, like certain trailers love to do. And James Gunn said all of this is from the first half of the movie because he doesn't want to spoil anything. So I'm saying if that's all from just the first half of the movie, how amazing is this movie going to be?
We know what's his name? Star-Lord's father's in the movie. We know he's the planet.
Yes, the living planets.
Yes,
played by. Kurt Russell, man.
Russell, there we go.
The coolest old man on this planet.
Yes. Now I wonder if he's going to be a planet with Kurt Russell's face on it.
Well, I think he's got to have a human avatar at some point if he's Star-Lord's father.
Yes.
But they can't call him the living planet if he's not going to be a living planet at all in the film. So
I agree.
I'm curious on what they're going to do with him, but I'm super excited to see that character. And he wrote the script with him in mind.
We also know Gamora, Yondu, they joined the Guardians.
Correct.
One thing I personally would like to see, they showed it in the first film, but they didn't actually show this particular character, and I know that they said they don't really want to, is Nova. I really like Nova. Nova's one of my favorite Marvel characters.
Yeah.
I would really like to see, even if it's at the end, like, just something that's going to lead to Nova joining the MCU, because I really think he's an important character.
I can see that.
I'm curious, did they say who the villain was in this one?
No.
Yeah, I'm curious about that.
There's been a couple of their smaller villains. Laserface has been announced for it, but he was always just a throwaway villain, so there's no way he's the main villain.
Yeah.
Or James Gunn could just surprise us all, make him the main villain.
Yeah.
And there was a couple. There was that giant squid in the trailer, which is also from the comics.
I remember that.
Yes, and he's an intergalactical dimension squid. But I'm thinking that's how they're starting the film off.
Now, does it bother you yet that they don't have matching uniforms?
No.
Really?
No.
It kind of bothered me.
Why's that?
I don't know. I really like the new uniform they have in the comics, the white and the black. I think that looks slick. It's awesome. But I also really like the old one, the blue with the red. I thought that looks awesome too. And I kind of feel like the first movie made sense as to why they shouldn't have it. They're not a team. It's them becoming a team. They're a team. They're established now. I would just like to see...
It's been 2 months since the first film, according to this.
Really?
Yes, 2 months since the first film.
Well, maybe this one will end with the outfits.
Perhaps. I'm hoping. Side note, what makes Guardians so special? Because we've had this discussion before. I'm a bigger DC fan, and even I own up to how great that film is.
I really think what really makes it special is the fact that it is its own thing still.
I agree. That's exactly what I was
They
going
are
with.
obviously tying it in with the Thanos and some things like that. But I think what's so great about it is they're just them.
Yeah.
And I wonder if they're going to bring Iron Man into that too.
I don't know, but honestly, I'm thinking about it the other day and watching it again just recently. I was like, it takes a lot of liberties. It doesn't follow the comic either. You know what I mean?
Well, I think that's one of the ones that necessarily doesn't have to.
Yeah, and I agree.
Not many people saw it. I mean, read it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but the movie did well just because word of mouth. It was just people went in, and even people that didn't like the comics or don't like comics love that movie.
I agree.
Whether it's the soundtrack that pulls you in, the chemistry between everybody. I mean, even I've known a couple people that went to see it just because they were wrestling fans. And
Drax.
Drax played by a wrestler.
Yeah.
But everybody seems to love that movie. And I think that's what makes it special, is it stands out. It's its own movie. It doesn't have that Marvel feel, and it was James Gunn going, listen, I know I'm in the Marvel universe, but I'm making the movie I want to make. Versus following that Disney lore, the Marvel lore they set up, and all that. And I think that's what makes that movie so special. And it's what the Russo brothers started out doing, in my opinion, before the Civil War happened.
Okay.
It felt like every other Marvel movie.
I can agree with that. Yeah. I think you definitely hit the nail on the head.
There it is.
Yeah, that's it.
I was very passionate
I will
about
say.
it.
I will say. The other thing that I loved about the trailer, not to get off of the why people love it, I think that's pretty clear after what you said. But I really think Drax seems like he's going to be a much bigger part in this movie.
Yeah.
And God, was he hilarious in the trailer.
All right, switching over to games.
Yeah, let's switch over to some games.
All right.
So the VGAs just happened. They just did Game of the Year and all their announcements. So I thought it'd be nice if we went down the list of nominees, well, winners, not nominees, and we'll say whether or not we agree with it and whether or not if you think we think something else maybe should have taken its place.
We'll go down the winners, and then we'll both say what we felt should have won Game of the Year.
Okay, so we'll do Game of the Year last, and I'll start from the bottom up. So best esports team. I don't think either one of us are really going to have an opinion on this. It was Cloud9. I watch esports. I know you're not a nerd enough to do it.
I don't even know what that is, sir.
Video games, sports like Call of Duty, stuff like that.
This is a real thing.
It's a real thing. People get paid to do it.
All right. Okay.
But Cloud9, I actually do like Cloud9. They won Heroes of the Storm the first year at BlizzCon for the World's Championship.
All right.
So I really like them.
Moving on, sir. To something more exciting.
Best action adventure game.
All right.
Dishonored 2.
Which we were both blown away by because we both thought it was going to be Uncharted 4.
Yeah, I was.
I haven't played Dishonored 2, so I can't judge on it. But to me, how it wasn't Uncharted 4 is mind-boggling to me.
So I played both. I really like Dishonored 2. I don't know if I would have considered it an action adventure.
Yeah, it's a stealth.
I consider it more of a stealth game. Granted, I don't really think they had a stealth category, so I can see why maybe they put it in action adventure.
Here's my problem with calling it an action adventure. Doesn't the game punish you if you don't use stealth?
The game is like, I don't want to say harder because some people you get more. I'm going to say it's more rewarding if you don't use stealth. I don't really think it punishes.
Here's what I mean by punishing. When I played the first one, I didn't get a great ending.
Because
I went guns blazing.
So I don't know the multiple endings of this. I haven't really dived into it that deep. When I played, my first playthrough is being seen, but not killing. I did not kill anyone. I only knocked them out. So, and I tried to make sure that I didn't any of the bosses I didn't kill either. So that was my playthrough. I haven't had enough time to play through to see other endings, to see, really, is there a big difference if I kill and whatnot. But I definitely thought Uncharted had it. Uncharted 4 was just so phenomenal.
It was. I mean, and it took you on a journey. It took you on a Naughty Dog journey. They're typical, up and down. I changed my opinion on your brother 3 times while playing that game.
Yeah, I agree. I completely love Sam. And then about halfway through, I was kind of like, oh, man, what if Sam, betrayed me? What if he is the bad guy?
Yeah.
And then that whole thing happens.
You're
Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't beaten Uncharted 4. I would just skip ahead a few minutes. But Sam, then, you find out Sam's the reason that you're back on this job.
Yep, lied to you to get you to work this, correct.
Yeah.
But by the end of it, it humanizes him again, and you understand why he did what he did.
Yeah,
such a great game.
Really great. I would say my favorite Uncharted was 2 for a while until 4. 4 definitely became my favorite.
Talking about that, brought up the Vita again. I just played Golden Compass. Recommend it. Really good. Another solid Uncharted game.
Completely agree with that too. So back to the list. Next was Best Game Direction, and it was Blizzard for Overwatch.
Okay.
I actually agree with this one. I definitely think Overwatch has a unique look. I like that it doesn't look very realistic.
Yes.
It has that cartoonish look, and I really like the more animated style than realistic look personally, because it doesn't age as bad. When you look at all the Zeldas, Wind Waker looks great still.
Yep.
While the other ones, when you look at them, they look pretty bad.
Yeah,
they didn't
definitely.
age as well, especially like Twilight Princess.
Correct. And if you try to go for realism, it ages terrible. I was talking to a friend the other day about GoldenEye. And at the time, it was at the peak of what graphics are. Now it's cubes. It's cubes with skin texture.
There's not even anything on the walls.
Yeah.
So what do you feel about this? Do you?
I didn't play Overwatch because I'm not into.
You're not a multiplayer guy.
Not into multiplayer only games. Did appreciate how pretty the game was. And you know what? I don't know if this makes me sound like a nerd. I don't mind going online and watching people play. Like, I enjoy YouTube videos of certain kills and stuff.
Okay.
Because it is a really pretty game, and I do appreciate the lure of it. Am I saying I'll never pick it up? Maybe. If they ever release a story mode, I'll definitely get it.
The interesting thing about Overwatch is it does not have a story mode, but it has more story than most single-player games that have come out this year. I will say that.
Impressive statement, sir. All right. Somebody liked this game.
Oh, I love Overwatch. It was one of my picks for Game of the Year. But we'll get to that one last. Next, Best Narrative, Uncharted 4.
Okay, best story. I can agree with that. Only because Last of Us didn't come out this year.
I can agree with that as well. The only other thing I would maybe argue that could be up there with it, which won Game of the Year last year, was The Witcher. And I still think The Witcher is one of the best games on these consoles.
I agree. That was a great game.
Next, Best Sports Game. Neither of us really have an opinion on sports games, but it was Forza Horizon 3.
I was going to say, the most I'll do in sports game is Mario versus Sonic at the Olympic Games. That's my range of where I go with sports.
Yeah, I hear the Forza series great. It's consistently great, which I think is probably one of the problems the game has. Because since it's consistently great, you don't really... I feel like it doesn't get much media. It's kind of like you expect it to be great. Right. So unless it does bad one year and then all of a sudden does amazing the next, you don't really hear about it. You're like, oh, it's Forza.
Yep.
It's the same thing with the Lego games, in my opinion. The Lego games are consistently great, but...
always solid. You know what I mean? Their scores never really go too low or extremely high.
Best performance went to Nolan North as Nathan Drake for Uncharted 4.
Or every other character he plays.
Nolan North and
Troy Baker.
How did I even forget his name? He's in everything.
Those two are in literally everything.
Yeah, but you know what? They're really good.
Yeah.
And I definitely give them props, and they definitely sell their characters.
And I didn't realize how long he's been doing it until I started playing some older games and realized his voice is attached to them. Dark Void. He plays the main guy.
Really?
Yeah, you know what I mean? That was an early PS3 game.
Yeah.
So, he's been doing this for a while, too.
Yeah. I definitely think he deserved it.
Oh, yeah.
I don't really think there's anyone else I could say deserved it as much as Nolan North. Maybe Troy Baker, because Troy Baker's one of the few other actors that I really feel like...
And I feel like the fact that we know their names and their voice actors for video games show how impressive their careers, because a lot of people do. And I say David Hayter is the only other person that is recognized universally like that for his voice work.
I agree too. And that says something. It's kind of like Kojima.
Yeah. Most
people, when you say a developer, you actually name an entire company.
Yep.
Very few do you actually name
just name one
person. Next, best strategy game, Civilization 6. I can agree with that, but I also really liked XCOM 2. I don't think you're really into strategy games, are you?
Best one I played was the one that came free with Star Fox. What was that, Froggy's Adventure?
Oh my god.
I loved it. Thought it was fantastic.
Okay, we're going to move on. Best music / sound design, Doom.
Okay.
I can definitely see that.
Fan of the new Doom?
I really like the direction. It really went back to classic Doom, where it was fast-paced, just running around, killing and rampaging. I found it to be a bit... I found the executions to be a bit annoying at times, because I felt like I was constantly seeing the same animation.
Yeah, it's the only way to get your life back, I'd say that.
Yeah.
I loved it, only because if you wanted extra story, you had to look for it in the game.
I agree.
If you just wanted to run through and kill things, you could do that too. Overall, I thought it was great. Would I replay it? No replay value on it, but still, I enjoyed it. Didn't feel like I wasted my money on that one.
100% agree. Best art direction is Inside. Now, I definitely think Inside deserved this. Have you ever heard of Inside or played it?
No, sir.
It is an indie game that's made by I don't really know if they would be considered indie at this point, but by the guys that made Limbo.
Okay.
It's really
One with
dark.
a giant spider.
Yeah, well, yeah, Limbo has a giant spider, but Inside is a really odd story, but it's really dark, and then the boy just has this bright red sweater that really sticks out. I really like the art direction of it. I definitely think it deserves it. The only other one that I would say maybe for is Overwatch once again, because I really love the art direction of Overwatch, and I think it was
Yes,
nominated but didn't win. Most anticipated game of 2017. Let's see if you can guess this winner. I'm pretty sure you're gonna know it.
Anticipated game? I don't. I'm drawing a blank. It's like when somebody says thinking of elephants, and that's all I can think of is elephants. I don't know. What is it?
Breath of the Wild, Legend of
Breath
Zelda.
Really?
I'm surprised you didn't think of that.
I did. No, I didn't. I'm not. I can't lie to you. It did escape my mind, but I'm not surprised. It does look amazing.
It does, and I really like that they're trying something new with this Zelda.
Are they though? I mean, you keep hearing all these rumors that it's a sequel to another famous Zelda game.
Yeah, it's true.
And if it's a sequel to Wind Waker or Twilight Princess, I think that's really exciting.
So I'm actually just going to skip ahead because I realized time is getting kind of short. I wanted to keep this episode.
We're going with a long one today.
Yeah, this one might be going over an hour, but I wanted to really keep it within that. So we're just going to go straight to Game of the Year. Game of the Year was Overwatch. I'm okay with this. I know you are not.
No, if there's no single player, it singled out people like me that's just not going to play it. So I can't do it. No.
See, now to me, I normally would agree with you. It definitely isolates people, but once again, I think the fact that this game won Game of the Year says how special it is. Very few online only games even get the scores that Overwatch did. Overwatch got 9s and 10s. Very few online onlys do that. They usually get 7s and 8s.
Yeah.
So I think it really says that Blizzard really did something special and unique here with Overwatch and people realize it. You know what I mean? I think people really notice that you don't need a story to have a great game, and sometimes a great multiplayer game can also have a great story, even if it's not a direct story.
Still gonna go with Uncharted 4.
Okay.
Uncharted 4 should have won Game of the Year. It was amazing.
All right. Next we can go with so PSX recently just happened. A lot of exciting things were announced.
Parappa the Rapper. Right, that's all that came out of it that I need to know about.
That is not, because you know damn well when I first came to your house after PSX, and I was like, The Last of Us 2 got announced. You instantly were like, bring up the trailer.
We do need to watch the trailer, correct. Only because that is, I will say, not my favorite game of all time, but the greatest story in a game in history, in my opinion. And I feel like you're hard to argue that.
I agree. I definitely think it's definitely up there with one of the best of all time.
I'd put that on Citizen Kane level story on how incredibly written that game is.
Okay.
The emotion it brings out of every single day. So many people I've met that have a different connection to a different part of that game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's,
to me, one of the deepest parts of that game is when you're with Sam and he has to kill his little brother.
Yep.
Oh man, that one pulled on the heartstrings. And God.
To me, the scene in the bedroom where Ellie tells you that she's not your daughter and it's not going to happen to her.
That's a tough one too.
Yeah, I mean, you didn't get the feels then. You're not a human. I'm sorry.
So we had The Last of Us 2. We had Parappa the Rapper.
Yes.
Never played Parappa the Rapper.
I think one of the most underrated rhythm games of all time. I think the game is incredible. I think the story's really fun. I always mention this, and I really mean this. It's one of those games I can play in front of my kids and not feel uncomfortable about. So I definitely put it up there, one of the most underrated games out there.
Okay.
Even its sequel I enjoyed. Thought it was great. It's re-released for the PSP. I just enjoy that game in general.
I was really shocked that they were doing Parappa the Rapper. I'm curious if they're going to do another one, and this is to test the waters to see, hey, how many people are still interested in this IP?
Just thinking about the opening there. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I can tell you're bobbing your head around.
It's such a great game. The re-release of Crash Bandicoot, I did not know they were updating the look. I think it looks incredible. I'm super excited about it.
Now, I'm curious if they are going to have a classic mode, like the
Yes.
Duke Nukem.
Oh,
I mean, not so much Duke. There wasn't too much of a difference when you
yeah.
change that.
Halo. I think Halo was
The
my
Halo
example.
one is a great one. Yeah,
And then the how it just switched, no time bar, nothing. It was that word I'm trying to say.
seamlessly.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah,
Yeah, that one. That's really neat. And I'm wondering if they're going to do that because they did show both versions of it while the trailer was out.
I think that would be a cool thing, even for people that have never played Crash before, for newcomers, because
Yeah.
that is an older game and a lot of kids missed out on it that are just
Correct.
growing up now. I think it'd be something that they could see, like, wow, how far games have really come.
Where do you feel like the crash of Crash Bandicoot happened? Where it kind of fell because for the longest time they couldn't put a bad game out.
I really think it was after 3.
Okay.
I think it was after 3.
So you weren't a fan of Warped.
I thought 3 was warped, wasn't
Was
it?
it?
Yeah, I thought.
Okay, no, I'm thinking of the other one, the
Because
GameCube
I
one.
think after 3 was when it started to go multi-platform.
Right.
And I think after 3 was when they just really kind of lost what made Crash special.
I can see that.
Crash.
I didn't hate Twin Sanities. I think the downfall came when they did the revamp.
Okay.
It changed the whole look up, the tattoos.
You know what? Yeah, I can agree with that too.
I mean, it made me. And the fact is, there's a reason why Jack and Dexter sold as well as it did, and it was because it followed that old Crash Bandicoot lore, and that's what they wanted. They sometimes if something works, you know what I mean, don't fix it.
If it's not broken,
don't fix it. You know what I
I
mean?
agree with that. Another one, a series that I never got into, Yakuza. Yeah. There's a new one coming out. I've always wanted to get into it. I hear good things about it. What about you? Have you ever played it?
Yeah, they're okay. I enjoyed it until I played.
Oh man, my stomach.
What was that? You're right.
Yeah, I'm fine. That was my stomach.
This is not getting edited out. No. What you just heard was no ghosts. Or anything like that. Oh, man. You complained about my phone last time. Calm your stomach down. But
Okay, I'm sorry.
as I was saying, until I played Sleeping Dogs, to which me is the most underrated game like that.
I heard a lot of great things about Sleeping Dogs as well.
If you've never played it, I should smack you. It's game is so fun and Arkham style of combat, which in my opinion, that's all combat should be in games now.
Okay.
You're trying to come up with a new combat system. Don't just use the Arkham combat. The weapons are decent in it. You don't have a lot of guns because it takes place over China, and
Is this Yakuza or Sleeping Dogs?
that's Sleeping Dogs.
Okay.
But that's what I'm saying. That's why I can't get on the Yakuza board when games like that exist. That to me trump Yakuza.
Okay. I can. Like I said, I've never played Yakuza. I've heard great things about it. I've always kind of been interested, but there were just other games that always took priority for me, and I've always said to myself, "Oh, I'll get to Yakuza eventually," and it's just never happened. Maybe if this next one goes on sale one day, I'll just pick it up.
Yeah,
But
it's tough. It's like I've been talking about making this video, Suicide Squad versus Guardians of the Galaxy. I've been putting it off for about 3 months now. Right? It's coming though. Right? It's coming.
The last one, and then that'll bring us into our next topic, is Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite.
Excited?
I am. I love the Marvel vs. Capcom series. It looks like they're going back to the 2v2 instead of 3v3 from Marvel vs. Capcom 3. I thought it was going to be called Infinite at first because I didn't think they were going to come out with another one. I thought this one was just going to keep being built upon.
Right.
But apparently the Infinite stands for the Infinity Stones.
Okay.
I guess you can have characters be equipped with an Infinity Stone. They showed Captain Marvel using the Time Stone, and they showed Ryu, I believe he was using the Space one, if I remember correctly. They've only announced 6 characters. We have X, not Mega Man. We have X, we have Ryu, we have Iron Man, Captain America, Captain Marvel, and what is the chick from Capcom with the bat wings?
Oh yes, on the
Morgan,
hair.
is it?
Maybe. I don't know.
Begins
Don't like
with
her
an-
enough.
Begins with an M.
She's not interesting. From Darkstalkers.
Yes.
All right.
Um,
No one's played that game since '91. No one cares. Stop putting the characters in.
so those are the 4 characters they've revealed so far. I'm interested. I definitely like the art style. They also said no X-Men.
All right. Probably because Marvel's been trying to get away from X-Men since Fox won't give up them rights. That's why they've been killing them off in the comics and everything. Is it a make or break with no X-Men? I mean, how big is the Marvel universe? Do we need X-Men?
We don't need X-Men. And I, but my worry is that with them killing them off and taking them out of the games, is X-Men then going to become something that is no longer relevant? And do they? But do they really need to be relevant? Once again, the Marvel universe is so big.
I was talking to a friend of mine the other day though. That franchise has been going strong since 1999. It's when the first one came out.
Okay.
We're in 2016. So people still like the X-Men, whether Marvel wants to admit it or not. Because those movies, whether or not they do well review-wise or not, they still do well box office-wise every time.
I agree.
And to me, there's, out of the films they released, there's maybe one or two duds I didn't like. And even those duds had, things I enjoyed about the movies. So, in my opinion, I don't think this is a make or break. I think the Marvel Universe is too big, and they have plenty of people they can pull from.
Okay.
They have really crazy out there characters they can throw from too. You know what I mean? And let's be honest. You mentioned this last podcast. Most people identify with the Marvel movies versus the comics.
Yes.
So if you're pulling from just the cinematic universe, you're going to be fine.
Which is, from my understanding, what they're pretty much going to be doing. Which actually, this leads right to our next topic, so we'll just go right into it. Which heroes would we like to see in Marvel vs. Capcom? Without X-Men, Fantastic Four, no Silver Surfer, anything that Marvel does not own the rights to can't be in it. So only MCU characters. Ooh. Who would we like to see?
Who hasn't been done before?
Huh?
That's a tough one. I mean, they've put a lot of characters in, but some of that hasn't been
done. For the Marvel side, someone I definitely think they're definitely going to go with is the Inhumans.
Okay.
And probably Daredevil.
All right, Daredevil would be neat. All right, I'd like to see that. Iron Fist, I would like to see him in there.
Again, yeah.
Yeah.
Because he was in the last one, I believe. Right?
Was he?
Yeah, I think he was in 3. Yes, Iron Fist was in 3.
Okay. For a character I haven't seen yet, Star-Lord would be neat. Let's just put that out there.
Star-Lord would be cool.
I would love to see all of the Guardians of the Galaxy. Drax, Rocket, Groot. You could even do a Rocket and Groot are the same character.
That's true. Yeah, just have Groot on, like, yes. I mean, Rocket on Groot's back.
Shoulder, that'd be great. You know what? Does that mean they're taking Deadpool out too? Because he was something that really made 3 super special.
I definitely think I think they are. I don't think there will be a Deadpool.
I think that was everybody's favorite character in 3. Everybody loved the whole Deadpool, and the fourth wall breaking he did in that game was what made 3 really stand out and very special.
I agree. I think they're just probably going to have Spider-Man be that witty character. I mean, obviously he's not Deadpool type, but I think Marvel just really wants to kind of say, if we don't own the rights to you, you're not going to be in our shit anymore.
Terrible.
As for the Capcom side, I would love to see Dante return, Virgil return, Beautiful Joe. I want him to come back.
Yes, Beautiful Joe's a good idea. I would like to start seeing some more Resident Evil characters in there. Usually they only put Chris or Jill. It's like their solid 2
they did Wesker last time, and they also did Nemesis.
I can see that. I want to see Leon, who's always been my favorite Resident Evil character.
Leon's my favorite as well.
I really liked. Big fan of Claire, as a character.
You know who I would like to see? They brought X in, and I'm hoping that means they're going to support more Mega Man games in the future. I would love to see some Onimusha characters.
Oh, yeah.
I think that would be
We talked about that the other day. Where did that franchise go?
Yeah.
I mean, solid franchise. It was super good.
And I heard rumors that Capcom apparently is thinking about bringing it back. And
they require the rights again, too.
I think this would be a good start of putting some faith into that. People seeing these characters back in again. So I definitely think that would be a great one to add.
Yeah, good. Yes, good for you, buddy. Good for you. Podcast hero today. I would love.
I try.
I would love to see some of those characters, man. Yeah, even for the power up at the end when you get the white hair and the glowing gauntlet. Oh man,
that would be great.
Spoiler alert! Sorry.
I actually also wouldn't, and I know this is a very divisive character in the Devil May Cry series. I wouldn't mind seeing Nero.
Nero is hated. I don't like him.
I like Nero. I didn't
You're
like
him. He's the one, everybody.
The first time I played 4, I didn't like Nero. He's definitely grown on me. And I think his arm mechanics that are in 4 could have a very unique gameplay experience in the new game.
Um, that's decent.
What?
I would like to see some Mega Man Legend characters thrown in there because I'm just a big fan of Mega Man Legends.
Okay.
Like Tron Bond from the last one, thought she was really neat in there.
Okay.
Wouldn't mind seeing Mega Man Legend himself in there, his character.
You know who else I wouldn't mind? Probably Vulture to help with the new Spider-Man movie coming
Okay.
up. Maybe some of the future villains that they tease. I honestly think Thanos is obviously going to be in the movie.
Oh, you mean the game?
The game, yeah, I said
Probably going to be the final boss, I'm thinking.
Yeah, I think so too. Definitely also going to probably be a playable character with the Infinity Stones being a thing this time.
Right.
You can't have that in the game without Thanos. I think Death would be interesting too.
Yeah.
So let's move on.
Ooh, Squirrel Girl. Yes, Squirrel Girl. Be honest, that has to happen. You know what I mean? Put her in there. Why not?
All right, Squirrel Girl it is.
Yes.
Um,
You heard it first on the Enthusiasts. Squirrel Girl. Marvel vs. Capcom.
Another thing that recently just came out was Final Fantasy 15.
Which you said you loved. You're loving it.
Yeah, I am loving it. I'm 35 hours in.
Did it live up to the hype?
Now, here's the thing. I want to say it's definitely better than what I expected. I literally, when the game was first announced, I bought a PS3 just for that game when it was going to be
Correct.
Versus 13.
Yes, I was listening to our podcast the other day because I'm into myself like that. I was trying to skip over your parts just to get back to me. But in between, I heard you say that this has been in development since the PS3, huh?
Yeah, it's been a long time. So I was definitely excited for it. And then it got to a point where it's been taking so long. I was like, there's no way this game can live up to the hype. And I kind of bought it more out of morbid curiosity. And man, it's good so far. And I'm only on, there's only 14 chapters of the main story. I'm only on chapter 6, so I'm not even halfway done. But I put 35 hours into the game just doing side missions. And the thing I really like about the game is the banter between the four main characters.
So you're saying voice acting is done well this time?
The voice acting is done well.
No Final Fantasy X here.
The lip syncs, however,
Yeah?
are kind of off.
2016, you're kidding me.
No, yeah, it kind of irks me at times when I'm watching it. The lips do not match with what they're saying sometimes. And I think that that's a common problem, though, with games that come from Japan to America. But, boy, it's noticeable in that. However, a small thing for me to look over. I haven't beaten it, so I can't say story-wise as to whether or not it's going to be amazing, but I can see it being my second favorite Final Fantasy of all time.
Here's the question. Let's take you out of this. Let's move you ahead 5-10 years.
Okay.
You go back and play it again. Is it going to hold up like 7 did? And here's what I'm saying. 7, look-wise, didn't hold up, but I went back and recently played it, maybe last year. The story and the gameplay, still there for me. Still amazing.
I definitely think 15 has the potential to. Like I said, I haven't finished it, but I can definitely see it being one of those Final Fantasies that I revisit. Every couple of years, I replay 7. I used to do 8. I recently stopped 8. I do 7, 9, 10. And I would like to add 12 to that when 12 comes out for the PS4, but because I heard it was amazing, but it was one of the ones I kind of just looked over. But 9 is my favorite, and 9 to me holds up well. 7 is always replayable, and 6, along with Tactics. So, yeah, I definitely think it has potential to be one of the greats. As to whether or not it will be, time will tell, and hopefully by the next podcast I'll have it beat, and I can give a much deeper,
give a better review of it. Where's the franchise go from here? Because we know they're doing a remake of 7 in episodes, so they can take all our money.
Yeah,
Not just some, all of it.
I think after this one, what they maybe want to do is just reboot it.
Okay.
Start from 1, and maybe actually have them be a continuous series.
Here's my question. Technically, this is 15. Have you ever played 1, 2? Because I know the only one
I have the first.
Only one
two.
I ever played is 6. Was the earliest I played.
The first one I played was 3 on the Super NES, which is 6. I have 1 and 2 on my phone. They hold up, but they're just not.
Tactics was a remake of 1, wasn't it?
No, Tactics is a completely different game style. It's where you're moving your characters on like the squares.
Correct.
Yes.
But I've heard that it was a different version of 1 or 2. I'm pretty sure.
If you want to say like a whole different rehash, Yeah, I can agree with that. But I wouldn't say a remake of one because one is very, very classic RPG where you're picking your classes, walking through you get your random battles and stuff like that.
See, I was thinking with the remake of 7 coming out, they might just start remaking the popular one. 6 getting remade.
They could do 6. They could do that. I would not mind as long as I got 9. 9 is my favorite.
Right,
they could
remake 9.
redo. Now, here's something I wouldn't mind: redoing 8 and making it good.
Okay.
Because I do think 8, when I first played 8 as a kid, I loved it. And then when I recently replayed it, I was like, wow, this is not good.
Yeah, I can see what you're saying.
But I definitely think 8 has the most potential for a remake to be remembered after.
Respectable answer. I haven't got a chance to play it yet. It's because I recently picked up a Vita, and that has taken over my life. How that system didn't do well is mind-boggling.
We'll talk about that in a minute.
That. But yeah, I still really, really want to play the Final Fantasy, which is surprising because I haven't been excited for a Final Fantasy since 10.
Okay.
And you know what I mean? The reason I was excited about 10 was because of 9. And you know what I mean? And the reason I was excited about 9 was because of 8. And the fact that this one by itself, just the advertisement and the lore they've set up, is what really makes me want to play it. I think they've done a good job. But I can't give you an honest opinion because I haven't played it.
I agree.
Somebody hasn't brought it over for me to try.
Wow.
That got awkward.
Just gonna push it out there like that.
That is weird.
All right.
All right.
So one last thing I want us to go over before we can.
The Baywatch trailer. No. Okay. Go ahead.
Not the Baywatch trailer. We could do the Baywatch trailer at the end. Actually, there's one more movie thing that I completely forgot. It's at the bottom of my list here, but we'll save that also for the very end. So the year's about to end. We don't have much left of 2016. I thought we could go over some of our disappointments of 2016 really quick. Not too many, but maybe a couple of games and movies that we really were looking forward to, and then when we saw them, it was just like, oh.
Disappointing. That's what you're saying. All right. Want to go first?
Yeah, my stomach again. I don't know what it is. It's just
going
howling at me.
Disappointment 2006. My good friend over here's stomach. Disappointed me.
One I will definitely say is going to be Don't Breathe.
Okay.
And the reason I say that is I had no interest in seeing the movie. I saw trailers, thought it looked interesting, but I was just like, it's not something I want to go see. A lot of people talked it up.
All right.
Reviews, friends I knew talked it up so much, and I was just like, you know what? I need to see this. Went and saw it with a girlfriend. Both of us could not take that movie seriously. And I went in thinking it was actually going to be like a suspenseful horror thriller. And it wasn't. It was just, I found it kind of funny, to be honest. I heard they're making a part 2, but I was really disappointed with the first. And I don't know
You gotta be kidding me. A movie does well, reviews, and box office, and Hollywood rushes out a sequel? That never happens.
I do think, however, if I would have not had it hyped up for me and I would have saw it by myself, maybe I would have enjoyed it a little more, though.
All right. I got 2 because they're both tied for the most disappointing movie.
Okay.
Batman: The Killing Joke.
Okay.
So disappointed. The opening with Batgirl, the animation. The only saving grace is Mark Hamill came back as the Joker, and even him I wasn't even that impressed with. I was just disappointed with that. First off, nothing about it I liked. I got a free Joker figure with it. All right, it looks good on my mantle.
Yeah, that was also one that I was really upset about. I haven't seen it yet still because you talked about how bad it is.
It was terrible.
But
it's the same year it came out with Teen
really
Titans vs.
upsetting
Justice League, which was amazing.
The comic's so good.
It is.
And how do you mess up that source material? Like, it's right there. You didn't have to change anything.
That's my thing. The whole opening with Batgirl just feels so forced, and you just don't care. And it's the first 40 minutes of the movie. Then when it gets into the actual movie, you're like, why wouldn't it just start from here? You know, like, it just doesn't make any sense. And then, of course, Civil War. I made that.
Okay.
Disappointed.
Remember those whole 17 people that listen to this podcast
Just
last
done
week?
with it.
Now they're not even going to listen to this anymore. If you keep bringing this up.
All right. Disappointed would be an overstatement. That would mean I was excited for it in the first place.
Oh,
no,
man.
Not an awful movie, and I can see the appeal from other people, but definitely being a comic book fan, reading Civil War and what the film interpretation was, I was disappointed.
I agree with that 100%.
Because this is going to be nitpicky and nerdy. The comic had, cause and effect, and things that happened in the comic affected the Marvel Universe for good. This was some serious repercussions for what happened versus the movie where it was like, oh, we were mad at each other, but hey, if you need me, here's my cell phone.
Yeah.
Really disappointing.
I agree. We can go on to games now. I'm going to say No Man's Sky.
I didn't play it.
Yeah, you weren't missing anything.
I heard.
That game was overly hyped. I mean, don't get me wrong. From the moment that game was announced, I felt it was too good to be true. A lot of people were talking it up. Everything I saw about the game, I was like, there's no way these guys are doing this. You can colonize planets and do all this stuff. And then when the game came out, you couldn't do a lot of it. It's going to be coming out in patches, which is kind of like, oh, well, why don't you just wait to release the game? I always thought of the term for the game because a lot of people were like, oh, there's 16 quadrillion planets. And I was like, you're not even going to see most of those.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. And it's by an algorithm, which to me means they plug in a bunch of things and they just divide it. And, say, okay, this planet's going to have life. And this planet's only going to have these lives. Well, this planet has this lives. And we're going to combine them all together and see what spews out where. And I every time I thought of this game, I thought of the term as wide as the ocean, but as shallow as a puddle.
Nice. I can see that.
Yeah. So that was definitely probably one of the biggest disappointments of 2016 game-wise. Not even just for me, but I think for everyone.
All right, I have two disappointments. Star Wars Battlefront.
Okay.
All right. Online only. No substance to that game whatsoever, and I was really excited. And once again, it was kind of a biased thing because I was disappointed because in my mind, Battlefront 2 is the epitome of a great Star Wars game.
Okay.
And then this is what you give me to follow up for. A slap in the face. Okay, and number 2, I was going to give this the Metal Gear Solid 5 for the ending, but at the end of the day, the gameplay was just so good. It was a saving grace. I'll give that. Where'd it go? It was right here. And then it left me. No, I can't remember. Star Wars Battlefront. I don't know. I can't remember.
I guess we're leaving it at 1 then.
There it is. There it is.
Okay.
I might scream it out in 5 minutes when it comes back. We're going to be off the subject completely.
All right. One thing that I forgot.
Street Fighter 5. That
Jesus
was it.
Fucking Christ. All right.
Street Fighter 5. Because they sold me half a game for $30. Never mind. They sold me 20% of a game for $60. That was... Oh, what were they thinking? Why?
From my understanding, they really wanted to push it out for the esports scene and for the people that play competitively. So they were going to add a lot of the features later on.
Nope.
I think that really backfired for them. So one thing that I left off the list was that recently they announced that Justice League Part 2 is being pushed back to make room for Ben Affleck's solo Batman movie.
Correct.
How do you feel about it?
Still really, really worried for the DC Extended Universe because of the fact that the reviews are not doing well, which is putting more and more pressure on the studio.
I agree.
And I think what makes movies special is when a director does what he needs to do with a film. Justice League Part 2 getting pushed back doesn't do anything because I'm more excited about the Batman solo film. And
I think the DC universe is kind of riding more on the Batman movie than the Justice League movie. I think what they're hoping is that the Batman solo movie pulls people back in. Yeah. If Justice League doesn't do it, I think they're really hoping that this Batman movie does it. And if that doesn't, I don't really know what will, to be completely honest.
But yeah, I'm excited for Wonder Woman. I think it looks fantastic.
I definitely agree. I think Wonder Woman looks great.
I think Justice League, although we got just a snippet of what it's going to be, I think it looks pretty good. We got nothing for Batman, and except for test footage of Deathstroke, and I'm still psyched about that movie.
Yeah.
Only because Ben Affleck, I think, one, you got a comic book fan directing your film. That's your first plus. 2, you got just an amazing director. He puts out quality films. And 3, if you didn't see him playing that character and understand he grasped what Batman is, then you didn't watch Batman v Superman the right way.
I agree. I definitely think, and we've talked about this numerous times, that I think we both agree that Ben Affleck is probably the best Batman. to come on the big screen.
And we mentioned it one day we're talking, and one of the best things I liked about it was, to me, he was the first actor to show that Batman's Batman. Bruce Wayne's,
the alternate ego.
Yeah, exactly. And to the point where Alfred had to sit him down in the movie and go, why don't you go as Bruce Wayne? Okay, you don't always have to be Batman.
Yeah, Batman is who he is, and they even did a great job in the Batman Beyond.
Yeah.
When he was like, "How'd you know that it wasn't you?" And he was like, "Because
the voice kept calling me Bruce."
And he was like, "In my head, I don't call myself that." But no, still going.
I can't pronounce words today. Your stomach's all gone. Episode 2.
The Wonder episode. Wondering what the hell these guys are doing. Yeah, but I guess we can call that an episode.
All right.
I think we definitely hit up on a lot of things. Next episode, I think we should go over our excitements for 2017.
Yes.
So people can look forward to that. So thanks for tuning in for episode 2 of The Enthusiasts. If you liked it, please hit that like button. If you didn't, hit that thumbs down so we know. Leave a comment about what you liked, what you didn't like. You can reach out to us at theenthusiast0@gmail.com. Please feel free to let us know what you think and give us some mail. Like if you have any questions that you would like for us to answer on here about maybe something you guys saw that you would like us to tell our impressions of.
Or if you want us to come to your house and give you high fives, we're willing to do that too. All right?
Yeah.
All right.
So this is Will Zabo.
And Justin Nazario apologizing for his stomach ahead of time.
See you guys next week.